Oh, hello! Today we are starting on a new TBR project, and this project is letting gifts pick my TBR. So I thought this might be kind of fun because the end of the year is often a time where a lot of people are getting gifts for various different holiday reasons. And I thought that it might be fun to go back through some of the gifts that I have received as books that I did not specifically ask for, but were selected for me from my friends who know my reading taste pretty darn well. And actually, I think all 4 of the books that I have selected were great guesses of things that I might like. So yeah, I just thought this might be kind of a seasonally appropriate time to make some progress on books that were gifted to me, because I always feel guilty when I see them on my TBR, like, oh, somebody gave this to me and they, want me to read it. Sometimes the reason somebody gives you a book too is because they want you to read it so that you guys can talk about it together. So I feel a little sad / guilty if I let books that were given to me linger for, a really long time. But we have got 4 books here, and 3 of them come from BookTube friends, so they are definitely well qualified to make a guess as to a book I would actually enjoy reading. My lovely friends and family do often try to give me books, and sometimes they're big hits. Like sometimes I'm like, oh, I wouldn't have thought of this, but yes, that's a great pick for me. But sometimes it's like, ooh, I so appreciate that you tried, but no. And also I have so many other books then I feel guilty about it. So anyway, so 3 of these are from BookTube friends who are like well qualified to give me sort of like a blind, a book I didn't have like on a wish list or something as a gift. And then one of them is from my very best friend, somebody who I basically consider to be my sister, who we also love talking about books together, so she is also very well qualified to give me gift of a book. So let's just dive into the ones that I have picked. So first, from my friend Bethany at Beautifully Bookish Bethany, I have My Fake Rake, which is by Eva Lee, and this is a historical romance with a cinnamon bun hero. I think that the reason that Bethany picked this for me is because she really likes this author and thinks that I would also enjoy this author. I have enjoyed this author's work in speculative romance when she writes under the name Zoe. I can't remember, but I'll put the book I'm thinking of up here on the screen. I've enjoyed her other work. I've not read any of her historicals, but the premises of her various historicals always sound really fun. So I think this was picked because Bethany thinks I will like this author because she likes the author, and she thinks this is a trope I will like. So I think that's her thought process here. This one is a nonfiction book called The Web of Life, A New Scientific Understanding of Living Systems by Fritjof Capra, and this is a gift from my very best friend. And she read this in grad school, thought that this resonated a lot with some of the things I learned in grad school, and I think wants to basically be able to talk about this book with me. She gave this book to me like 2 or 3 years ago. So it's taken me a while to get here, but I'm finally gonna read this one, and I think she gave this to me because she thinks that this would be a good book for us to discuss together. Then my friend Amanda at The Naughty Librarian sent me Little Monsters by Kara Thomas, and this is another one where she enjoyed this and thought I would also enjoy it, but she also knew that I very much enjoyed The Cheerleaders from Kara Thomas, so she gave this to me for Christmas, I think last year or the year before, because she knows that I like this author and she also likes this author. And then finally, 4 Dead Queens by Astrid Schulte from Leanna at Leanna's Library, and she gave this to me because she really enjoyed this and she knows that I love a murder mystery, and this is basically a murder mystery in a sort of speculative setting, and she thought that this would be something I would have a lot of fun with. So I think all 4 of these are really like great, reasonable picks for me. All of these sound like things that I would like, and I'm looking forward to finally getting to these so that I can then tell the people who gave them to me that I enjoyed them, even though some of them have been on my TBR for a very long time. This is also me getting rid of the guilt of seeing them on my TBR, so a win all around. Good morning, guys. I thought I would pop in and let you know that last night I finished the nonfiction book I was working on, so I just officially upgraded The Web of Life to my nightstand to read as my nighttime nonfiction pick. So I don't know how much I'll really check in with you guys on this one because I'm just going to be reading like, 20 pages at a time kind of thing, unless I really get in the groove with it and start flying through. But I will let you guys know once I'm done with it, or maybe I'll check in at some point how I'm doing with it. So anyway, just FYI, that is going on kind of in the background of all the other books you're seeing. I'm also reading a little bit of The Web of Life every night. Okay, so I am starting 4 Dead Queens tonight, whacking myself in the face with it and dropping it on the floor. We're almost done with 2020 and We can clearly tell. Okay, so starting this as my main book tonight. I've started The Web of Life as my nonfiction pick already, but this is gonna be like the main one I'm gonna polish off here over the next couple of days. And yeah, I am in the mood for something just sort of like fun fantasy speculativeness, which I think this will deliver, and it also has a mystery plot to it, which I love. So yeah, this sounds like something I'm in the mood to read, and I have pretty high hopes for it. I will say, Leanna loved this. Bethany had problems, if I'm remembering rightly, with the way it ended, so I don't know. I tend to be pretty forgiving of mysteries and the way they end, just because it's so hard to write a truly just like perfectly satisfying ending to a mystery. So I tend to be pretty forgiving as long as the kind of ride that I go on the mystery is satisfying. So I also superficially just love the way this book looks. Look how pretty and shiny. Ooh, okay. Anyway, I'll check in as I have more thoughts on this. Hey there. Next day, I managed to read about 100 pages of this last night before I fell asleep, because I'm an old lady these days and I fall asleep so early. Though I'm getting better. I'm getting more used to my meds and I'm not falling asleep quite as much. But, so I'm 100 pages in, and I've got to tell you, the book that this reminds me a lot of in terms of its vibe, which is cracking me up because Leanna's the one who gave this to me, is Serpent and Dove. It is just sort of like what I would describe as sort of like light, sudsy YA that has set dressing world building, and it's very focused on a specific plot trope. That does not bother me. That is something I like, so I'm having fun with this, but it very much surprises me that Leanna likes this as much as she did. Now granted, it doesn't have the same kind of, it's not a romance plot trope, so maybe that's the difference. It's more focused on sort of like a mystery, like whodunit thriller kind of situation. But yeah, anyway, it's just making me laugh a little bit that she picked this for me and that she likes it so much. But yeah, so far fun flying through this. I think I read this 100 pages in like an hour, so we'll definitely wrap this up today. Okay, I finished this guy before I went to bed last night, and thoughts. I enjoyed this. Like, this was really fun. I am just still genuinely shocked that Leanna likes this, because it just doesn't seem to me like something she would like, because the world building is not good, I don't think, in this, but it's not good in sort of a fan fiction kind of way, and that's really what this gave me. This gave me a lot of fan fiction-y kind of vibes, which I wasn't mad at. Like, I had fun with it. I would say I wasn't particularly into how it kind of progressed. I would say I wasn't particularly like impressed with the overall book, but it was fun. Like, this is a book that I would recommend if you're looking for something light and fun to read that you don't have to think that much about. And I do think that this is not quite an isolated closed circle mystery, but it's definitely adjacent to that. And yeah, I don't know. This is just sort of a different than a book I've read before. And I was kind of into that. So yeah, I don't think a masterpiece, and again, shocked Leanna likes this. But I had fun with it, and I think it was definitely a very apt choice as a gift for me. So we'll call our first entry in this a success. I'm not sure which one I'm gonna hit next, so you'll know when I know. Okay guys, sorry this is a weird angle. I didn't feel like getting out my my little tripod. So I am going to get going on my next book today, I think. Today was a hospital day, which is always exhausting. Mostly good news. They did have to take blood, which is always an ordeal because I have terrible veins. And they confirmed that I'm going to still be tired all the time for a while. So, you know. But I think it seems like they're happy with my progress, so that's good, but I'm tired, and that means I deserve a treat, so I think I am going to get going on My Fake Rape by Eva Lee, which is one that Bethany gave me. I know she really likes this author's historicals. I have read and enjoyed fantasy romance from this author before, but I've not read any of the historicals, and I think there's a cinnamon roll hero in this. So the back cover says, when a blue stocking enlists a faux suitor to help her land her ideal husband, she's blindsided by real desire. I love a fake dating trope. Okay. Lady Grace Wyatt. Wyatt, really? Okay. Is content as a wallflower, focusing on scientific pursuits rather than the complications of society matches. But when a handsome, celebrated naturalist returns from abroad, Grace wishes for once to be noticed. It's so cute. She's crushing on another scientist. Okay. Her solution to build the perfect man who will court her publicly and help her catch his eyes. Grace's colleague, anthropologist Sebastian Holloway, is just the blank slate she requires. Oh my gosh. This just sounds adorable. Okay. To further his own research on English society. Oh, of course. Oh my gosh, this is like all my trope bait, guys. Sebastian allows Grace to transform him from a bespectacled bookish academic into a dashing, albeit fake, rake. Between secret lessons on how to be a rogue and exaggerated public flirtations, Grace's feelings for Sebastian grow from friendship into undeniable, inconvenient, and real attraction. Of course it does. If only she hadn't asked him to help her marry someone else. Sebastian's in love with the brilliant, beautiful Grace, but their bargain is complete and she desires another. Yet when he's faced with losing her forever, Sebastian will do whatever it takes to tell her the truth, even if it means risking his own future and his heart. This sounds adorable and exactly like what I need. Okay, so I think I'm gonna like this. This has a lot of my favorite tropes in it. We've got two geeks. We've got a woman in STEM in a historical. We have got a fake dating trope. We have a blue stocking. We got like a lot of the things I enjoy. So as long as the writing is pretty good, I'm gonna be into this. Oh, though I glanced at the cover copy, and doesn't this hero look like Jake Paul? Well, that's a downer. I'm just gonna pretend I didn't see that. Okay, so that is going to be my book for the evening. I did also run to my bookstore to pick up a couple of things I had ordered. So I got Disability Visibility, First Person Stories for the 21st Century, edited by Alice Wong. So I think this will be a really interesting nonfiction pick. And then I also got another nonfiction pick, which is Maybe You Should Talk to Someone by Lori Gottlieb. I've heard a lot of really good things about this, and I couldn't decide which of these I wanted, so I just got them both. So. But that nonfiction is not what I need after a long day at the hospital. So I am going to enjoy some fake rakeage. This is going to be adorable. I'll check in with you guys once I've made some progress. Okay, so this did end up being as stinking cute as I thought it might be. And actually, I will tell you, I think that this navigates the line between sweet and steamy in a way that not a lot of books, I think, pull off effectively, because like the hero in this is just the sweetest little like morsel of adorableness ever. And yet like they go to Pound Town for reals. So this is the kind of energy that I'm looking for. So hit me up if you are a 19th century scientist man who needs a smart lady to help build his confidence. This was really, really sweet. So Seb is the hero. He is adorable. And then Grace, I really like too. I did think I felt bad for Seb because she was so clearly into him, but like wouldn't let herself think about herself being into him. It was, you know, that was like the whole tension of the book. I get it. But anyway, yeah, this was super cute. I would give this 4 stars actually. I really threw it on the ground. So yeah, I really, really like this actually. This just hit all of my trope pleasure buttons for the most part. I like the writing a lot, so I would definitely read more historicals from this author. And yeah, all in all, great pick for me from Bethany, and just what I needed as sort of like a nice little palette cleanse. Because I'm also, right now while I'm doing this project, my kind of like chunky book I'm working on is Royal Assassin from Robin Hobb, which is really good, but you know, it just requires a little bit more work to read, like, because it's just, you know, it's really well written and it's kind of slow paced and very focused on the characters, so it just requires a different kind of reading. So while I'm doing things like that, I like to have something lighter that I'm kind of also reading in the mix, so this hit the spot for that just perfectly. All in all, a success. So I think my next one is gonna be Little Monsters, and so I'll check back in with you guys when I get going on it. Hey pals. I think when last we talked, it was pre-insurrectionist coup, so that's fun. So it's a little bit stressful, these here parts in the world, and often when things are getting not great on like a large scale, I enjoy romance and mystery. And the next mystery up on my docket is Little Monsters by Kara Thomas. So I'm gonna be cracking into this over the next couple of days. I actually don't really remember. I love The Cheerleaders by this author, but let's see what the synopsis on this one is. What kind of girl doesn't cry when her friend goes missing? Okay, so it's a missing girl kind of story. Casey is the new girl in Broken Falls, and she can't believe how nice everyone has been to her. She's even become part of a tight new circle of friends. Bailey and Jade invite her to do everything with them, which is why it's so odd that they go to the biggest party of the year without her. But Casey will never be able to ask why, because Bailey never makes it to home from the party. Suddenly, Broken Falls doesn't seem so welcoming, especially once everyone starts looking to the new girl for answers. Casey is about to learn some very important lessons. Sometimes appearances can be deceiving, and sometimes when you're the new girl, you shouldn't trust anyone. Dun dun dun. Okay, so this seems like an intriguing, maybe sort of like if Lindsay Lohan's character in Mean Girls got embroiled in an investigation of the disappearance of Gretchen Wieners. So that seems like it should be fun, and I'm hoping this will be some nice escapist good times for me. Man, guys, I flew through this last night. I kind of picked it up a little bit late, and I was like, okay, I'll at least get started on it tonight, and then maybe I'll finish it tomorrow. Nope. I just flew through it because I thought this was really, really good. I was reminded of how much I like Kara Thomas's writing style and kind of the way she develops characters, especially teenage characters. I think really is a cut above the rest in terms of a lot of, not even just YA, but adult thrillers who have teen characters. I just think she does a really, really good job of inhabiting their psychology in a way that I think is like really believable and really human. They're flawed, but not in a, I feel like there's this tendency from, I don't know, like an HBO kind of prestige drama to have all of these teenage characters who seem like they are teenagers with the souls of world-weary edgelords who are like 65. Like they're all so cynical in a very specific way, and I really like that Kara Thomas's characters are not like that, and I do find that's a common teenage character trope in thrillers in general, both YA and adult, so I was reminded of that and how much I just really like her writing. So I gave this 4 stars because like I said, I couldn't really put it down. I really liked the story and where it went. The only thing that knocked this down for me a little bit is that there's a dual perspective, and one of those perspectives is in the form of a journal, and it does the thing, I know that this is such a nitpicky, pedantic point, but it does the thing where it's allegedly a written journal, but it reads as if it is like a fully realized novel. Like it doesn't read like a journal that anybody would actually write, especially a teenage girl. So that always just sort of takes me out of the book a little bit whenever it comes up. But I thought the story, the character, and the writing was like, I just really liked all this. So I think I was reading you guys the synopsis yesterday, and it does feature a girl, like kind of the new girl who came to town and got in with the popular girls. I really loved her family dynamic. Casey, who's our main character, her family dynamic, because she is living with her dad and his new family, but it's also a blended family even before she arrived, and just like all of the dynamics I thought were really interesting and well handled. All around, this is really good. I give this 4 stars. Yeah, I thought this was just really satisfying, and probably this is my favorite thing we've read so far. So we only have The Web of Life left. I think about a third of the way through it, so it may be a while till I get through that and check back in with you guys. Maybe I'll try to prioritize a little bit more time at the end of the day to start reading that more focusedly. I'm not loving it. The content is good, but the writing I find overly dense in a way that I don't like in nonfiction. Like, I really enjoy nonfiction that is both dense in its ideas and also clearly written, and I'm just not quite finding that to be the case with this particular book. So I don't know, maybe I need to also just make some more like sustained momentum on it, and I'll kind of get in the groove. So I'll check back in with you guys once I finish that up, or at least make some more progress on it. Okay, checking in because I have made a little bit more progress on The Web of Life, so I thought I would, I don't think I've actually told you guys what this is about, so I thought I would check in and tell you that. So basically, I think what he's arguing, so he's going through this history of philosophy and how we think about a lot of different subjects, like how we conceptualize the self, how we conceptualize knowledge and theology. Like there's a lot of kind of history of philosophy. There's alongside that a history of the philosophy of science that he's interweaving. And then he's also giving a history of science in terms of how we conceptualize organisms, and a lot of kind of talk around systems, theories of systems, some chaos theory, the Gaia theory, a bunch of different other kind of like milestones in the history of science. And I think where he's going, is that it's not just a postmodern philosophical critique of modernism to combat individualism. It's also true on some fundamental scientific level. Like, the more we've learned about science, the more we know that there's some level of like, there's a physical reality to our interdependence and existing within a network of life. I mean, the web of life, like within networks. So I think that's where he's going. I'm more into this than I was because I kind of put aside some time to read like more than just 20 pages. Like, I read a couple of like chunkier bits. I think I figured out, I really wish that I had this in audio, because I think I would like this better if it was in audio, because the writing itself is really what I'm not loving, but the content is very interesting. So when I can kind of like get some more time to get through more of it, I'm into it. So I think I'm doing better with this than I was, but I'm still, I think I'm gonna have to wait until the end to find out like how all of these different pieces come together to see kind of ultimately what I think about it. But that's where I'm at for right now. I think I'm about halfway through, so I'll check back in with you when I'm done.
Marple, did we just finish The Web of Life? Yeah, we did. Good job, us. Okay, time to sleep.
Alrighty, guys. Finally done with this thing. The Web of Life by Fridtjof Capra. I say that. I'm used to getting through books just quicker, but I always forget when I'm reading nonfiction in physical form. It just takes me a while because it just does. This is an interesting book to try to talk about and rate or like evaluate, because the content of it is great. Like, I mean, the content of it is like a 4 or 4.5 kind of thing. I bookmarked the page where he stated his thesis, and I had told you the thesis correctly, so I was proud of myself that despite what I think is kind of disjointed writing, I correctly was understanding his point. So he says, my thesis has been that a theory of living systems consistent with the philosophical framework of deep ecology, including an appropriate mathematical language and implying a non-mechanistic post-Cartesian understanding of life, is now emerging, which was a more elaborate way of saying what I was saying. So I was right that that's the point of the book. This has a lot of interesting information. Also, this is very superficial, but he was talking about evolution and kind of like deep time, and even just, there's a lot of really interesting graphs and stuff in here. So like when he's talking about evolution, he has like this little chart showing the progression of prebiotic microcosm to macrocosm. So this is like billions of years ago and starting at 4.5 billions of years ago. And then down here at 0.1 is first primates. And then the next couple of pages, there's one showing the evolution of plants and animals. And you go from 700 million years ago, early animals, to 4 million years ago, upright walking southern apes. And then it also has one showing the progression of different Homo sapien ancestors from 4 million years ago through to 35,000 years ago. Whatever, that's superficial, but it had been a while since I'd seen someone like lay it out that way, and I was like, oh man, deep time just like messes with my brain, so I enjoyed that. Anyway, all that to say, there's a lot of interesting data points in this, and I'm gonna keep this book, even though I'm gonna tell you I'm gonna give it a 3-star, because I think as a book, it's not the best nonfiction I've encountered. Like, not just that it's dense, so it's not just that it's dense, but I've read plenty of dense things that I think are better written and like laid out, even though the ideas are dense, even if the writing itself is quite elaborate in some way, it reads better. And I just think that this isn't as good. Like, I'm trying to think, like when I was reading a lot of primary source philosophy in my master's degree, like, I'd be reading Descartes or Kant or whoever, and those are like dense thinkers, but even that writing, even if it was old-timey, like hundreds of years ago, I still found it easier to read than this. I don't know, there was just something about the writing style itself that didn't totally jive with me, so I'm gonna keep this book because there's so many interesting things and like connections he makes. Like he's a very, one of the words on the back is a brilliant synthesis, and I think that's very right. Like, he's a very interesting synthetic thinker. Like, he brings together a lot of different interesting threads. I just think that the execution of it as a book is not as successful as I'd hoped it would be. But I'm still like this one, so maybe we can talk about like what I've learned from this. And basically what I've learned from this is that people who I have a friendship with, who somewhat of our friendship involves us having a connection over books, are very good at picking out books for me that I'm gonna like. So the 2 books that I rated the lowest, I still really enjoyed and am still going to keep. So I gave both of these 3 stars, and a lot of times a 3-star book is one that I would unhaul, but I actually want to keep both of these because I think I might reference both of them in the future, or like I could see recommending this one in the future, so I want to hold on to it. They weren't 3 stars to me as a B, so there were things about these books, like this one to me, just the world building was it felt like fan fiction in the sense of it's just not, it's like, it's got too much hand-wavium of like, this is just kind of how it works. And so for that reason, I don't think I could give it more than a 3-star, but I had a really fun time reading this, and I think that this was a really good pick for me because it is speculative fiction with a mystery plot and a romantic element thrown in. So like if we're talking about things that Mara likes in a book, like this fits the bill exactly. I had a lot of fun with this. So Leanna, I think this was 100% a good pick for me. Even if I had some problems with it as a book, as an entertainment, it was very entertaining. Similarly, this is 3 stars too, but I would say my best friend did a great job of picking a book that intellectually and content-wise, completely up my alley, stuff that I like to think about. I'm somebody who does enjoy kind of integrative thinking of different fields and sort of like seeing the big picture and finding connections. So this content-wise, 100% up my alley, but similarly to Four Dead Queens, The Web of Life, my issue with it is basically it as a book. Like as a book, it's not the most successful, but the content is great. So this was not super successful for me as a book, but very successful as an entertainment. This was not very successful for me as a book, but very successful in terms of its content. So these were 3 stars, but still I think really good picks. I'm gonna say that I'm going back and retroactively giving this 3.5 stars because it just hasn't, it's been a couple weeks since I've read it. It just hasn't stuck with me, I think, enough to be a 4-star. So I'm gonna say this is a 3.5-star book, but I still really enjoyed this. And again, Bethany knows my taste. She picked out a romance that is not high angst, so that's good for me. It's got kind of a fun, it's got a high premise to it. Like there's a lot of kind of promise in the premise, which tends to work for me. It's got a woman in STEM. It's got like a cinnamon roll hero. There's a lot of like sweetness at the core of this. Also, can you hear Marple freaking out? This is the time of morning where she freaks out and like needs attention. Sorry. But anyway, like, you know, there's just basically great job picking a kind of romance that I do enjoy. And 3.5 stars, had a really good time with this. Also holding on to it. I'm holding on to all 4 of these books, and you guys know I will unhaul something that I feel like I don't need. I'd say Amanda did the best job of picking something that I was really gonna like. Little Monsters, Kara Thomas. This is, I just really, really enjoyed this. This is a really, really good YA thriller. This reminds me of how much I like Kara Thomas. I think she has at least 1 or 2 other books that I should try to track down because I've very much enjoyed both books I've read from her as YA thrillers. And I say thriller, they really are more, I guess they are mystery thrillers. I think the pacing and kind of premise is more on the thriller side, but it has a lot of a mystery component to it. So the characterization, man, and the writing is what sets these books, I think, above a lot of kind of her peers. So yeah, this I'm gonna say is the most successful thing. Again, I knew she read this book and really liked it, and I believe she told me at the time when she read it, she thought, ooh, I think Mara will like this. And she was right. So I guess she won, but they all won, because like I said, I think my lesson is if I have friends with whom part of our connection is our bookishness, I'm gonna say that I should trust the things that they sort of send me blind more, because these were all pretty successful. So would definitely do this again. So let me know if you guys liked this kind of concept. I had fun engaging with these books on the level of like, why did somebody recommend this to me? That was part of what I was thinking about when I was reading them. And I definitely have some more books out there I could do this with, but it felt good to make progress on some of the backlist TBR I have. Sometimes it's harder for me to prioritize those, so it was nice to have a project to kind of make that happen. So anyway, let me know what you thought about any of the books we talked about. Let me know how good your friends and family are at picking out books for you to read. And yeah, I think that will do it for me for now. So if you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, follow me on the social medias if you are so inclined. I have all that information listed in the description box below, and I think that will do it. I hope you are having an absolutely lovely day today, and I will just talk to you soon. Bye!